Hello and welcome to our post-Super Bowl edition of Monday with the Mayor. I'm Bradford Raths, and most of us are disappointed, but not all of us, and we found one of them that isn't here in Huntingburg, Denny Spinner.
Good morning.
Good morning. So on Friday, we had some big news for the city. The railroad overpass project is moving forward.
Yes, sir. We received official word from the Indiana Department of Transportation last week that the project is moving forward through the engineering stage of the process. If you recall, the announcement was made last year that INDOT had secured funding for the project, 80% from state and federal funds, 20% from local funds, which the city of Huntingburg and Du Bois County are partnering on that share. With that notification, our next step was to interview firms that were interested in doing this design and engineering work. We went through a process guided by the state, made a selection of a firm that scored well with all those reviewing the contracts, made an offer to them, but that contract had to be reviewed by INDOT and then approved. So what we received last week was that official notification that the amount of the negotiated contract was approved and the money was distributed, so the engineering work will proceed very soon. So it's kind of like the reality check in this project, and we were all pretty excited when we got the word about it. And you this is where we actually are going to see work going on and money allocated to do this work. So this is a very big step for us. And again, I want to again say this wouldn't be possible without the cooperation between Du Bois County government and the city of Huntingburg. And we're just looking forward to seeing this work in the next year. As for a timeline, this notice to proceed to the designer was given, and they will be creating an environmental and a bid document that should take about a year to get done. So you won't see a lot of physical things happening, but this study is going on, and within a year they will have the actual document that will lead to bidding the project and construction of the overpass.
Yeah. So time to take out the trash, figuratively speaking, talking about the potential for new citywide trash service. Pretty
Correct.
Big deal.
Yes, this is another issue that this came up really in 2012. We conducted the Reviving the Pride listening sessions, and one of the issues that the community was very clear on was how can we find ways to make our community cleaner. And one of the ways that in studying other cities that have addressed the same issue, one of the ways that other cities have addressed this is through a unified citywide trash and recycling service. The city of Huntingburg does not have that at this point. It was discontinued several years back, so individuals right now contract with one of the vendors that are available in our area to do this service, or they do it themselves through the county system, through the recycling systems that are available. So based on the success that we've seen in some other cities, we have a survey now going out to our residents through the utility bills, asking them their level of interest for such a service. There's 11 questions on the survey. Should take you about 5 or 6 minutes to fill it out. Some of it is basic demographic information, but the questions are just being asked, are you interested? What would you be willing to pay? So we've had a lot of questions, well, what's it going to cost? Well, we're on the front end trying to say, what would you be willing to pay, so that we can take informed steps towards, okay, what are the most viable options for us? The council has approved this. They've been involved in the process. We've been talking about this amongst ourselves for a while, and what's the best step to take. So our first step is there enough interest to go forward? The options that are out there would be either a vendor contract to do this service, or the city providing the service. And once we get these numbers back, then we can determine where that, if it is what's the most cost-effective way to do this. So those are kind of the options we're looking at. The most important thing I want to say to our residents is get the surveys back in. We really want to know what's the best way to proceed in this. So take your time to fill out the survey. You can return it in your utility bill. If you mail your check back in, you can return it with that. You can drop it off here at the city hall, either at the utility office inside or at the drop box outside. And hopefully by mid-March, we'll have all those surveys back in. We're coordinating this effort with the University of Southern Indiana, so it is a survey that the results are going to be compiled by the USI and given back to the council. We're not seeing individual responses to that. They're going to compile the data and give us a report that we can hopefully make the right decision, the best decision for our city going forward. The question number one, should we? And then if we do, what are the cost ranges that we want to be in to make this a very viable service for everyone?
And just to reiterate a point, the city's not going to be keeping information.
No, this information is being compiled as anonymously as possible through the USI work that they're doing. We've contracted with a professor that does this type of work. We're also using an intern from USI to help compile the data. So we'll gather the sheets here, give them over to USI. They will compile the data in. It will be a pretty anonymous way to get that information out. But there are two questions on there that are more than just check boxes. That give us the top 3 reasons why you would want this and the top 3 reasons why you would not. So we're looking at real responses. So it's very, very important that you fill out the survey, get the information back to us, and the report from USI should come back to the council sometime in early April. And when those results come in, we'll be discussing them at a public meeting so that the citizens can see exactly what those responses were.
So certainly big things on the horizon with that kind of stuff.
Yes, I think that this is a concern that we need to address. This is one of the options that we have out there, and we just want to make sure that we're meeting the goals of what our citizens have in doing this.
Well, Mayor, we appreciate your time once again.
Thank you very much.
This has been our not-so-disappointing post-Super Bowl week edition of Monday with the Mayor. We'll have more news right after this.